Cold calling openers that spark B2B lead interest. The first 30 seconds decide the call. Cold calling isn't dead in B2B, but weak openers are. In 2025, prospects make a stay or hang up decision in about 8 seconds, and 82% will disconnect within 30 seconds if nothing sounds relevant. That means your opener isn't a warm-up, it's the whole game. This matters because the top of the funnel is already tight. US connect rates often land around 3 to 10%, so every live conversation is expensive to earn. If your cold calling team finally reaches the right person and leads with small talk or a generic pitch, you're effectively burning the scarce opportunities your reps created. The good news is, buyers aren't inherently anti-cold call. Research cited by Cognism from Rain Group shows 82% of buyers at least occasionally accept meetings with sellers who reach out proactively, especially when the call sounds purposeful and respectful. The fastest way to earn that chance is to treat the opener as a micro sale. Sell the prospect on listening for the next 20 to 30 seconds. Know your benchmarks before you rewrite your script. Most teams try to fix cold calling by changing everything at once: lists, talk tracks, sequences, and tooling. We recommend starting with benchmarks so you know what good looks like and where you're leaking. Connects, sub-30-second drop-offs, 2 to 5 minute conversations, and call-to-meeting rate. At a dial-to-meeting level, Cognism's 2025 benchmark pegs the average cold call success rate at about 2.3%. But when you isolate conversations and measure how many convert into meetings, teams with stronger discovery and openers can push conversion meaningfully higher. Cognism reported a 4.82% average conversation-to-meeting success rate in 2024. That last duration stat is the key insight. Your opener's job is to earn time. If you can reduce brush-offs under 30 seconds and increase the percentage of calls that reach the 2 to 5 minute band, you usually see downstream lifts in meetings without increasing dials or hiring more reps. Design openers as a micro sale: permission, relevance, and a question. High-performing B2B cold calling openers follow a simple structure: be transparent, be relevant, and ask for the next step. A permission-based line like, "Mind if I take 20 seconds to share why I called and you can tell me if it's worth continuing?" works because it respects time and gives the prospect control without pretending the call is warm. Relevance must come before product. Instead of, "We're a leading provider of," lead with a problem or trigger the buyer already cares about: headcount growth, a new initiative, a tool change, or a likely workflow bottleneck in their role. This is also where personalization pays. Zipdo reports personalized cold calls are 20% more likely to produce a positive outcome, which is a big lift in a channel where averages are measured in single digits. Keep it tight, 15 to 30 seconds max, and end with a short question. You're not trying to earn the meeting in the opener, you're trying to earn the next 30 seconds so you can ask 1 or 2 discovery questions. When you start with their world and invite a quick sanity check, you shift the call from interruption to conversation. 4 opener frameworks you can standardize across personas. If every SDR invents their own intro, you'll get randomness instead of performance. In our work as a sales development agency, we see the best outcomes when teams standardize 2 to 3 opener options per persona, then let reps choose based on context. The goal isn't to sound identical, it's to keep the structure consistent so coaching and testing are real. Start with a permission-based opener for most net new outreach. "I know I caught you out of the blue. Can I take 20 seconds to explain why I'm calling you specifically?" Then add a trigger event opener when you have a signal. "I saw you're hiring X roles, expanding into Y. Quick question on how you're handling Z right now." For mature markets, a problem insight opener can win attention fast. In your role, we often see teams losing time to X. Is that something you're trying to reduce this quarter? Finally, keep a social proof opener for skeptical audiences. We're working with a few teams similar to yours on X. I had a question about how you're approaching it internally. The common thread is that none of these lead with features. They lead with a reason, a relevant pattern, and a question that makes it easy to answer without committing to a meeting. Your opener isn't there to win the deal. It's there to win the next 30 seconds. Coach delivery like a skill, not a script recital. Two reps can say the same words and get opposite outcomes because delivery changes how safe and credible the call feels. When we review calls, we score tonality, pacing, and the ability to pause after the ask. If a rep rushes, sounds apologetic, or reads word for word, the prospect's default reaction is to protect their time by ending the call. Your team's training should match the reality that nearly half of successful cold calls land in the 2 to 5 minute range. That doesn't happen by luck. It happens because the opener earns attention and the rep transitions into one clean discovery question. Coaching should focus on calm confidence and on keeping the opening promise. If you asked for 20 seconds, don't take 60. Treat your openers like guardrails, not shackles. Give SDRs the structure, who we are, why we're calling, why it might matter, and a question, but let them make the language their own so they sound human. This is where strong cold calling services stand out. They don't just hand over a script, they build repeatable behavior through practice and feedback. The mistakes that trigger hang-ups and how to fix them. The most common opener mistake is wasting the first few seconds on fluff. How are you today? Sounds polite, but it also signals sales call. And with prospects deciding in about 8 seconds, you've spent your window without saying anything useful. The fix is simple. Acknowledge it's out of the blue and immediately tie the call to a relevant problem or trigger. The second mistake is leading with product, especially when you sell into multiple industries. A CFO, an IT director, and a VP of marketing don't share the same priorities, so a one-size-fits-all pitch feels off fast. Instead, build persona-specific variants that use their language and outcomes, cost and risk for finance, reliability and security for IT, pipeline and conversion for revenue teams. The third mistake is not measuring opener performance separately from the rest of the call. If you only look at meetings booked, you can't tell whether reps are failing at the first 30 seconds or later in discovery. Instrument your dialer and CRM to track sub-30-second drops, 2 to 5 minute conversations, and call-to-meeting rate so you can isolate what your openers are actually doing. Run an opener sprint. Test, learn, and scale what works. The fastest way to improve is a focused 30-day opener sprint. Pick your top personas, write 2 to 3 opener variants per persona, and test them like ad copy. Don't declare winners after a handful of calls. Aim for 50 to 100 connects per variant so the data reflects reality, not one great or terrible day. Use technology to make personalization sustainable. Instead of having reps burn 1 to 2 minutes researching every dial, feed them quick summaries of the few signals that matter: hiring trends, funding, tool changes, website activity, and prior engagement. When a rep can reference one real trigger in the first sentence, the call feels like a relevant follow-up, not telemarketing. Finally, build a library of winning clips. When a rep nails an opener and earns a real conversation, capture the first 30 to 60 seconds and share it internally. This is how an outbound sales agency or an internal team run with agency-level rigor compounds learning. The best openers become training assets, not folklore. Choose the right operating model: in-house, outsourced, or hybrid. If you have strong enablement, time for coaching, and the patience to test, building in-house can work well. But if your leadership team is stretched or your SDR ramp is inconsistent, Sales outsourcing can be the faster path to repeatable outcomes. A specialized SDR agency or cold calling agency can bring proven frameworks, coaching systems, and immediate capacity, especially when you need pipeline now. At SalesHive, we've seen that opener quality is one of the highest leverage improvements a team can make because it affects every downstream metric. Since 2016, we've supported B2B teams with cold calling services, list building, and multi-channel outreach, booking over 100,000 plus meetings for 1,500 plus clients. Whether you hire SDRs internally or use an outsourced sales team, the operating standard should be the same: structured openers, consistent coaching, and measurable testing. Your next step is straightforward. Document your opener frameworks per persona, instrument your reporting to isolate opener performance, and run a time-boxed experiment to find what earns longer conversations. With dial-to-meeting averages around 2.3%, even small lifts in the first 30 seconds translate into meaningful pipeline, because you're improving the part of the process that every single call goes through.